What's up everyone, Tom from the Airsoft headquarters here, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a 5-minute fix on quick change spring guides and what they're about. So we're going to start the timer right now. When it comes to Airsoft manufacturers, they will implement what is called a quick change spring guide into their gearbox. And what that allows you to do is from the rear of the gearbox, so towards the back end of the rifle system, you can extract that spring guide, which is what holds that internal spring, which adjusts your velocity, allows you to rotate it out of place and extract that internal spring. And then you can change that spring for a different tension, whether it be a higher tension or a lower tension, and then reinstall that in order to change your velocity. You don't have to do anything else internally as far as modifications or changes, and you don't need to take all of that time taking the receiver apart, taking the gearbox apart, potentially losing parts and components. It's as easy as removing the stock using some type of assistance tool. In most cases, you do have to take a long screwdriver, stick it deep inside of your buffer tube. In most cases, not all, and I have a couple examples to show you, you need that screw on the back plate of the spring guide because that is going to hold the spring guide rod in place and prevent it from flopping around inside of that gearbox, potentially meeting any of the gears or stripping the piston or anything like that and breaking your internal parts. So you need to keep that screw inside there. And once you have that, like I said, rotate, and then out comes your internal AEG spring. So you can change out to a higher tension, lower tension, so you can play indoors or outdoors, which is super convenient because that means that you don't have to get two different rifle systems from the same brand, one for outdoor and one for indoor. Because if you don't know, 400 FPS is kind of like the max outdoor velocity, and then 350 is usually the max indoor velocity. There are going to be a couple exceptions there. And then it's really just a very simple reverse of operations of that sling plate, buffer tube, and this is kind of where you have to allocate a little bit more time to in order to get that spring guide screw down into place there. Take your long screwdriver, get it down inside there, and then start getting it all back together. Which this one is a little bit trickier. You gotta really finesse that screw inside of. And once that's all done, close everything back up. Take your stock back into place, and then, ow, that was my thumb. And then now you're at indoor or outdoor velocity. There are going to be a couple of brands that feature quick change spring guide systems. And there are going to be several brands that do not utilize quick change spring system. One of the biggest misconceptions is brands that will advertise their gearboxes as a quick change spring system, but still require the disassembly of the gearbox away from the lower receiver in order to get access to that. At that point, you're taking all of the screws and all of the pins away from that lower receiver, taking the grip off, the stock off, the upper off. Your selector usually has to come apart. That magazine release has to come out, different receiver pins. You know, you're so deep into taking that gearbox out that you may as well just take the entire gearbox apart as well. But some of the other brands that I have here is KWA. They have an awesome system where you can actually change the length of the spring guide on the inside of the gearbox, resulting in different tensions against that spring internally. So you can have just one spring, but you can fluctuate that velocity from indoor to outdoors. That way you don't have two springs, and then you're all set, good to go. And again, this one has the PDW stock, so very easy to get access to that spring guide system in order to change that spring out if you need to, or in this case, just change that spring guide neck. From Avalon's, a lot of their older products do not feature, the true quick change spring system. You still need to get that gearbox with motor receiver. With their Elite MP5 model here, this one actually does feature a true quick change spring system. So taking that stock all the way off, undoing a couple of screws, and then there's that internal spring. And very easy to reinstall that. Oh, I got myself good. That's a good blood blister. That back into place. Change that spring. And then one of the brands or rifle models that has one of the quickest spring guide change systems, or it has the fastest quick change spring system that I've ever seen on the market. Doesn't require a whole lot of tools. In fact, the only tool that is required is a coin, and that is the G36 model specifically. So with that folding stock, give it a fold. There is a body pin that you do have to push inwards, and you can do that with your thumb if you are a strong boy. Pull that out. The back plate of the receiver comes out, and then the slot that is conveniently sized for a coin is going to be your spring guide screw. So undo that, and that will extract your AEG spring. So you can change that out, reinstall that back plate, reinstall that body pin, flip that stock into place, and now you have successfully changed that internal spring out. These are just a couple of the examples I have shown you that can be a super fast way to change that internal spring. This is absolutely critical when it comes to either a first-time purchase or second-time purchase for Airsoft players that want to use these systems all year round, especially if you're going to be utilizing these on an outdoor field that allows up to 400 feet per second, but you want to transition to indoors, which has a max of 350 feet per second, because you can't take an outdoor rifle and bring it indoors unless you change that spring tension. So just ease of use and just being able to do it yourself, going with one of the quick change spring systems that I showed you here. And there are going to be a couple of brands that do feature that system. If you have any questions as far as what brands are good, how else to do it, you can put those questions down in the comment section below. I'll do my best to answer them. Otherwise, if you're local to the area, you can stop into our shop here at Airsoft headquarters in Waukesha, Wisconsin, and then we can have conversations about what brands are going to do this or that and what are the benefits of whatever. Right? We can have those open dialogues. So that's all I have for you guys. I think we ran the timeout, but that's okay. You guys take care, stay safe, stay positive, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.